Adolf Hitler, one of the most notorious figures in world history, was responsible for some of the darkest chapters in human history. His actions during his time as the leader of Nazi Germany led to the suffering and death of millions. While the concept of the 7 deadly sins is rooted in Christian theology and represents a moral framework for examining human behavior, it can be a useful lens through which to analyze Hitler's actions and the sins he committed. But before we dive in, I still encourage you to ever so gently pet the subscribe button, just for good luck. Now back to the video. Number 1. Wrath. Hitler's unbridled anger and hatred towards various groups, especially Jews, were at the core of his ideology. His wrath fueled his brutal policies and actions, including the Holocaust, which resulted in the systematic murder of 6 million Jews and millions of others in concentration and extermination camps. His extreme rage and vengefulness led to the indiscriminate violence and devastation of World War II. Number 2. Pride. Hitler's excessive pride in his ideology and his belief in the Aryan race's superiority led to a delusional sense of self-importance. He saw himself as the savior of Germany and the mastermind behind a new world order. This pride drove him to make irrational decisions, such as invading the Soviet Union, which ultimately led to the downfall of Nazi Germany. Number 3. Envy. Hitler's envy of other nations and leaders, particularly the envy of Great Britain, fueled his desire for territorial expansion and dominance. This envy led to the aggressive expansionism that triggered World War II. His jealousy of the success and power of others contributed to the suffering of millions. Number 4. Sloth. While Hitler was a relentless and charismatic leader, he displayed a great deal of sloth when it came to delegating authority and strategic planning. His erratic decision-making and micromanagement in military matters led to inefficiencies and the misallocation of resources, which had a detrimental impact on Nazi Germany's war effort. Number 5. Greed. Hitler's insatiable greed for power and control was evident in his expansionist ambitions. He sought to acquire more and more territory, resources and manpower, disregarding the consequences for the people living in those areas. This greed led to the exploitation of occupied nations and the plundering of their wealth to support the war machine. Number 6. Lust. While not often associated with Hitler's personality, he had a dark and perverse sense of lust for control, domination and cruelty. His sadistic and inhumane treatment of those he deemed enemies displayed a disturbing lust for inflicting pain and suffering. Number 7. Gluttony. Hitler's gluttonous appetite for power and conquest knew no bounds. He was willing to sacrifice the lives of millions of soldiers and civilians to achieve his ambitions. His obsession with achieving total dominance over Europe and beyond led to the devastation of entire nations and the loss of countless lives. It is essential to understand that the 7 deadly sins framework is a metaphorical and moral concept, and applying it to Hitler's actions is a way to highlight the profound moral and ethical failures of his leadership. Hitler's actions, driven by these sins, resulted in unimaginable suffering, death and destruction. The consequences of his deeds serve as a stark reminder of the depths to which human behavior can sink when driven by such destructive impulses. Hitler's legacy is a sobering testament to the importance of moral and ethical values in preventing such horrors from occurring in the future. Thank you kindly for watching.